6:45 a.m. here on Northport, and the temperature on the island is bracing.
So what are your thoughts on roaches?
My thoughts?
Hate 'em.
I was born. I was born. I was born a poor black child. I was raised poor though, and our fucking roach problem was out of control as a kid. Every house was a rental. We had one house that was pure and beam. You know, I've always lived in pure and beam, but this one had like fucking cesspool under the house. You know, bad plumbing, and like had like slugs down there. We'd get slug infestation followed by roaches. And my dad would just spray Raid. He'd come home from work late at night and just spray Raid, give us all cancer, spray it all over the bread. My bread would fucking taste like Raid, like at school. You know, like sandwiches. Yeah, so I was like, I fucking grew up with this shit. So watching The Nest was no big deal for me.
The first thing I thought that was really cool about The Nest, besides them just getting roaches everywhere on everything, was the fact that it takes place in a very beautiful, like, obviously resort
fake
town.
New England town.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Well, let's talk, Winkless.
Winkless.
What a name.
He was an editor. I think he did some B-roll and even some writing on the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
Was he editor for Corman? Is that how he got to start with Corman?
Did Corman do Gone in 60 Seconds?
The original?
know.
Yeah. So I don't know how he got. Oh, I do know, and it came through actually Corman's wife, Julie Corman, because Terrence had made a short film that Julie saw. Julie thought he would be right for The Nest, you know, and before he had made that short film, he had written the script for The Howling, so he was definitely getting work as a writer. He was replaced off of that film in favor of John Sayles, which who wouldn't, right?
Makes sense.
Happened to every writer, right? But,
Checks out.
But he was working. He was getting work. He was doing stuff. But this short film is what got him his first feature, you know, The Nest, and yeah, I mean, what a hell of a way to start, you know. I learned about the film when I was a kid. There was this author in the '80s named Chase Bullen, and if any of you guys don't know who Chase Bullen is. He wrote books in the 80s. The Gore Score is the one that I love the most. It would rank movies based on quality, but also the amount of gore in the film. And this film ranked a 7 out of 10 in gore and 3.5 skulls out of 4. So Chase loved it, and why not? Because roaches are fucking gross. And this movie takes, I think, it's a mix mash of so many things, kind of bio horror. This sort of 50s insect horror of people messing with things that they shouldn't and causing some type of a reaction that is deadly. I also see this as sort of a take on Jaws, which there were several films, especially in the early 80s, where you have the island, you have the mayor, you have the sheriff. The mayor knows what's going on or either doesn't care what's going on. The sheriff's trying to stop it.
Well, it's an easy
setup,
pitch, right?
Yeah.
Because you can be like, it's Jaws with roaches.
Yes, yes.
You know, it's like simple.
Yeah, and roaches, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've had a lot of insect movies. Like Kingdom of the Spiders is a great insect movie. But even when I watched that movie and it gave me the creeps as a kid, I also kind of wanted a pet spider a little bit. But roaches, fuck that.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say roaches are one of the few things that, like, even the toughest guys in the world, you throw a roach on them, like, dude, yeah, they're freaking
Creepy
out.
crawlers.
They can't help it. Yeah,
And
and
that's
they're gross creatures.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like The Nest is a monster movie, and it is. But even just the roaches themselves are little monsters to me, because I don't think that there's another life form that gets the strongest reaction out of humans and out of the most amount of human. I mean, it's just freaky.
It's freaky, but it's so funny because do they even bite? I know they bite in this movie and draw blood.
Roaches?
But roaches in real life, do they even bite
They do.
you?
Okay.
They're not known to bite humans very much,
but they do eat meat.
I so admire these nymph cockroaches.
Yeah.
And so they just went a little far this time.
And what a creature too! I know that the exterminator in the film,
Yes.
to paraphrase him, he's like, they'll be around after the apocalypse smoking cigarettes or something
Yeah.
when we're
Yeah.
long dead. And he's fucking
And
right.
speaking of cigarettes, I don't know if it's in that scene, but there's a scene where that exterminator rolls a whole cigarette during a dialogue sequence, puts it in his mouth. It's pretty impressive.
You take this, and you call me in the morning, okay? Okay, light the staple. Gotta go, Sheriff.
But this movie proves that time and time again that every movie can benefit from a great exterminator character.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
John Goodman,
yeah.
Arachnophobia.
yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
Oh,
Blue
like-
Velvet.
Yeah.
Naked Lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Naked Lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the exterminator.
Yeah. So we've got an island. It could be an island in New England. It was actually shot in Oregon and California, but yeah, people start to see roaches, and some gross stuff starts to happen right off the bat. Now the movie does, the first 20, 30 minutes kind of go into kind of a little kind of romantic triangle angle.
Yeah, they kind of throw in a little love interest.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem these movies have when they're adapting the book, and they've
Yes.
got all these characters and they have long things in the book, and they forget that they're making a Corman movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
yes.
know, I
Yeah.
think that's probably
Honestly,
its
going back to
problem.
Jaws, they should have done what Spielberg did with Jaws,
Yeah.
and that was cut the love interest.
Unbelievably, this movie was a novel. Did start off as a novel.
I didn't know that.
It was
I
written
didn't know
by
that.
Eli Cantor, which I think is a pseudonym. But yeah, I mean, and I haven't read the novel. I don't know how closely it followed it. But yeah, I mean, you have that love triangle. They're kind of developing the characters a little
Spent
bit.
way
but
too much time on that.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it,
yeah.
But
it
that's
really
the only.
did.
That's really, in my
But-
opinion, the only fault of the
Same.
movie.
Yes,
Same.
because what happens is that you're seeing some roaches, some weird stuff is going on, you've got this little love triangle going on, and then this character enters the film, this this female scientist who is just this cold-blooded, ice queen of a character.
Do you ever have a dog, Dr. Hubbard?
Not until now.
Straight out of Village of the Damned, not the original, but the John Carpenter Village of the Damned.
Yes.
I forget who plays it opposite of Superman.
Yes.
That same cold, icy character of I'm gonna steal one of these babies. Oh, it's Look Who's Talking. Christy Alley.
Oh,
Christy
really?
Alley.
wait,
right?
no, is it?
It's Christy Alley.
She's the...
I've never done a horror movie. I've done horror movies, but not a horror. So I thought this would be a big challenge. And John is the best.
Okay.
All right,
Christy
fact
Alley.
check. Fact check.
Look Who's
Fact
Talking
check.
is Christy Alley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Okay.
I don't know if she's...
That's the John
I don't know if
Carpenter.
she's no Terry Trees.
Well,
because
she,
that's
she
the...
plays a deviant so well in this fucking movie.
Oh, well, first off, she steps right in. When she steps into the picture, that's when the
It
gas
really-
gets hit and we
yes.
start rolling.
Yes.
And she starts talking about roaches, and she starts getting off on roaches biting her hand.
And
when
the-
I saw
the
that,
cat-
that's when I was sold.
The
When
cat.
Yeah.
When you see how evil she is with the cat.
Yeah, we've got it.
She,
Gosh,
yeah, hold on. Let's slow it down for a second. Okay, so
Yeah.
that whole scene where they're in the glass case, that's when I knew, or when she was experimenting with the roaches.
Yes.
That's when I knew I was in for a treat. When she's
Yes.
getting off as the roaches are biting her, and
Oh,
the guy's
yeah.
like any of us going
Well,
take your hand out.
yeah.
Go ahead.
You
and
don't
take
want
it
him to
out.
bite you, take it out, idiot.
Well,
Give her your coat.
yeah, well, Richard Lansing, who plays the mayor,
Yeah.
who Winkler says that he and John Carpenter actually had an argument about who was going to be able to work with Richard Lansing first. And,
Is that right?
And it ended up going to, Richard Lansing was in The Equalizer at the time.
Okay,
And a really
okay.
well-respected actor. But it has a very slow delivery, very
Yeah.
sleepy delivery. So his reactions to her when she's doing crazy stuff is
works.
really amazing.
It works.
Yeah, it
'Cause
really works.
He's like,
Yeah.
take it out. Like,
Yeah.
what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, apparently they had to double print or whatever you call it, where they take out frames. They had to drop every other frame so that they could speed up his performance in one part. Apparently,
Yes.
because he's
Oh,
so
wow.
slow. They
Yeah,
had to-
yeah.
Like delivery or just
His
body
delivery.
movements? Oh,
and they
wow.
ended up making him look like he was breathing heavy, but it was because they were speeding the footage up while he was talking.
Fuck. I got look for that on the
So
next
he has
rewatch.
these amazing looks as
Yeah.
she's doing the craziest stuff. But you do have to slow it down because when she enters the film, man, we're going. Things are dying, people are dying,
She
roaches are crawling
single-handedly
around
takes the
everywhere.
pace.
I'm gonna
Yes.
slow it down even more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that opening scene where our sheriff character wakes up. There's a fucking roach in his coffee.
Classic.
I mean,
Is he
I
gonna
mean,
drink it?
yes.
Is he not?
Yeah,
Yes.
and then he gets it. I'm like,
Yes, dude.
I I literally wanted to vomit. I was just like, I was like 3 seconds in, I already want to throw up.
I was laughing my ass off.
we all love pickup shots, right?
Yeah.
Those were pickup shots where the director did them long after shooting.
Even the
in his
director's
place.
shirt off with looking down at the
getting
cup.
a roach, putting it in the toilet, putting it in the cup.
Anytime a roach needed to be moved, it would be the
That's what a great
director's
filmmaker has to do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Winkler sounds pretty cool as a filmmaker.
Yeah. But from the jump,
that was his first movie, Frights.
First movie, yeah. And he would go on to direct, Blood Fist and even some Power Rangers episodes. But The Nest is his crown
it's
jewel.
so great.
Yeah. And yeah, from that opening, when you see the roach in the cup, you're already
queasing.
Back in your seat.
Yeah.
Unless you're a maniac.
Yeah, I'm queasing.
You are back and freaked out.
Yeah.
It's freaking gross.
And you can see him as a director, because it's his first, you can see him cutting his teeth on some of those smaller scenes.
Yeah.
He doesn't get enough coverage. They zoom through it. They some choppy dialogue, just kind of rough. But as the movie keeps going, it starts to take shape, and you can really see him cutting his teeth and getting better throughout the film, to the point where he's a full-on filmmaker by the end of it.
Yes.
And I don't know how much, I don't know if they shot in sequence, but he started out apparently with a first-time AD, a first-time production manager, and some of those, I think the AD was replaced after a time. They had no shot list at the beginning of shooting. He apparently storyboarded almost the entire film, and was kind of running by that. But he brought in a new AD, who he says, was got onto him a little bit, which he says he needed.
Yeah.
Which
you need a timekeeper as an AD.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think things kind of got on track there, yeah. The roaches themselves. Now, you would think that maybe they got these roaches from, some type of a scientific supply store that breeds roaches and sends them out for whatever the purpose might be. But these roach wranglers were apparently a family who would drive around Van Nuys in the middle of the night and literally get out into alleyways, look under boxes, and collect roaches. Grab them, put them in jars.
A new definition to dumpster diving.
Yeah. Put them in jars and just collect them until they had enough.
That's why we need to get back to family values in this country. That's a family right there.
I mean, that's a family business,
yes.
that works.
Is it the Texas Chainsaw family? Or?
But,
the Manson family?
Yeah. But Winkler says he literally, because apparently they had a small child who would help them or was on set. He said actually he doesn't know why. It was their child.
Roach child?
Yeah,
Roach
because
boy?
he says in the cave.
Roach boy!
In one of the cave scenes, the kid's got an ice cream cone or something like that, and he's literally picking up roaches with his other hand and putting them back in a container while he's licking the ice cream in the other hand. Like this was just. I wish I could meet these people. I mean, it sounds amazing. Yeah.
Oh, the Roach
I don't even know what
family.
to say. I don't even have a funny comment or anything. It's just so amazing.
The roaches, they do not bite. They're not harmful at all, except they may be a little stinky once in a while. They eat the flesh off bones.
I heard that Corman, they had a lot of sets because they had to fucking have roaches everywhere.
Right.
So all these sets were in Corman's either backlot or Corman's Concord Studios.
Yeah.
And they had to get 6 different exterminators after the shoot. And then I think eventually they burned the place down. Not necessarily because of the roaches, but one can think that would attribute to it.
You're right, I think, because honestly, I read that, I didn't read too much trivia into this movie, but the one thing I did read was that apparently the locations that they filmed at still to this day have cockroach problems. Now, I know roaches are kind of everywhere, but in California and Oregon, I mean, they're not as, prevalent than they are in the South or the Northeast and stuff like that.
Apparently they're in Van Nuys, so
and also other films I know. I don't know about Problem Child. I'm trying to think of another roach film that I might have got trivia from along the lines. But when you do a roach picture or any kind of insect picture, you get one chromosome of the species. You get a male, or you get all female. That way they can't mate and reproduce on set, and you just got an infestation, because that's what an infestation is.
Right.
And so, back then, the fact that they're just grabbing them out of dumpsters.
Dude.
Those are probably mutant roaches.
It's so Corman.
It's so Corman.
This film is the best of Corman, and it comes from Julie.
And it looks great. It looks great based on it. I mean, compared to a lot of Corman films.
Yeah, Julie, maybe the unknown Corman for a lot of people, who produced Chopping Mall. who just got a couple years ago got a Lifetime Achievement Award from Fantastic Fest.
That's awesome.
You know, this movie, when it gets going, it doesn't hold back on anything. The gore, the kills,
The creativity,
the action,
everything dials up creative.
It dials up. You've got great scenes that do take after some other movies. You've got a great cat scene that reminds me of Reanimator a little bit.
Yeah.
Great struggle there. You've got a great scene in a cafe that
The lighting
kind of has a
becomes
gremlin
more
thing.
Okay, so can we
Yes.
talk about the diner scene with La Cucaracha playing while she's
Oh, dude.
dumping coffee?
What a
Dude.
vibe.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I just...
She's having fun almost.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
dude.
she fucking
Yeah.
like throwing the microwave.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck
She's making
you.
roach
Yeah.
omelets, like, you know, she's
I cannot change 100.
she's
She goes,
getting into
oh,
it.
oh, top you off, and throws the coffee on the roaches. Like,
Yes.
Makes a
so good.
roach smoothie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's so
Yeah.
gross.
And the movie keeps escalating and escalating because this is not a movie just about creepy roaches.
And that was the director's agent's wife who played that diner waitress too, by the way.
What a
Yes,
woman.
Unreal.
What a
Yeah.
woman.
I think there was a lot of
A lot of friends, a
Great
lot of
harmony.
family,
Yes.
all like
Brought
filling the
in.
frame.
Yes,
Every
yeah.
crew member was in the frame, you know,
Yeah.
at one point. Yeah.
and it keeps escalating because this movie is not just a roach movie, it's
No.
also a monster movie.
It is.
And it starts to escalate into some areas that I think a lot of people, first time watchers, won't guess. And when it gets there, it just goes balls to the wall. Meanwhile, our crazy doctor is just kind of looking on and kind of getting off the whole time while everyone else is freaking out. And it really goes to some places. We have some metamorphosis happening, some change
So
effects
cool.
going. Incredible FX sequences.
Can you imagine if they were given even more money, what they could have done with that transformation? The fact that it was so good on a low budget
Right.
shows you
Where
how,
would you even go? Yeah, because it's a stair climb. They do the cat metamorphosis,
Right.
like cat roach thing. Then they do a human roach thing.
which is
So that's my favorite
Yeah.
which
one.
is jaw dropping.
and then they
Yes.
do
three-headed- yeah.
multi-face, faceted.
They do a thing inspired
inspired roach
yes, yeah.
maniac, straight out of Annihilation.
Yes,
you
yes.
know,
Amazing.
Yeah.
with the roach pictures that chop
Dude.
that fucking
So
head off. It's
fucking-
so fucking cool.
It's so cool.
fucking cool.
The whole time I'm
And
watching,
the
I'm
lighting,
like-
what,
and all
what
lit in purple.
cave do you
All
know
lit-
is lit that way?
Purple.
But it looks
Purple.
so awesome.
So freaking
Yeah, where do
cool.
those lights come from in the cave? Who knows? Who
It's just
cares?
like- it
Who
was just
cares?
like-
cares?
It's like natural.
No one cares.
It's like supposed to be natural lighting that's like hitting this thing, but like coming off
Yeah.
as like color.
It's like
but
this-
it's like
That's like
it's
telling
so
a Giallo
trippy.
director, though, be like, hey, where's
Yeah,
this green coming from? They're
exactly.
like, hey!
Exactly, and it just heightens it. By that time, you're like into it, and you're like,
Oh, you're like,
fucking-
whatever,
everything.
whatever.
Do
It's like
whatever
this
you want.
Monster totem pole.
This
that
movie's
just
so
kinda, you know,
rock and roll. It's
dude,
so good.
It is, man.
And like, it's one of those things, like, after like the bogus love story dies off kind of pretty quick in the movie,
Right.
it just goes, and you're just hooked. And you're so
Yeah, man.
grossed out, but at the same time, you just keep wanting to see more and more, like, how far is this going to go? And once you see those transformations, you're just like, oh man, this was so worth it. This was
Yeah.
so worth it. If I saw this in the theater back in the day, I
Oh,
would have been
man.
like, I've been there the next week with
Yeah.
like, you know, preferably like a group
And
of
if you
people.
would have been to the theater and
I was- I mean, how many people
and
do you
saw
think
the
walked
poster
in?
for this thing,
Okay.
you would have saw
We got
one
pull-
of the most mind-boggling
Yes.
movie posters.
Pull up the
that
poster
you
as
could
we talk
see.
about this.
Yeah,
it's
I
one
mean,
of the best posters.
I mean, this is, you know, of the time,
Yeah.
but it is just bonkers.
It's
this
perfect
poster.
box art.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Really-
For the,
And the
eye-catching.
actress, I believe, her likeness is kind of on there, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of one. You know, but she apparently hated.
It doesn't happen
the cover.
in the movie.
yes.
She apparently hated the cover, but then,
Yeah.
then years went on, and she goes, "Nah, she thinks it's kind of funny." Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
That Japanese one you sent us too is like
That was
sick.
cool.
Dude, yeah, it's got a great
Yeah.
Japanese poster.
We'll try to find that and put that up too, because that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a really original looking.
But you know, these roaches, they make noise as they creep around. I mean, you can sense them behind doors.
A little more powerful in this film because they're part of an experiment, right?
Yes.
That went wrong.
Right.
Went south.
The director says that his biggest influence was The Fly. And you can really see that as you get into these transformation scenes, especially in that mare transformation scene.
And you could see it with the scientist character and like Jeff Goldblum's character being like obsessed with the notion of like, I'm gonna change the world by using these roaches, and seeing how far I can push it.
And there's always the mad scientist who thinks they can play God or whatever, or they're experiencing a level of transcendental scientific discovery and research where their work is the paramount and most important thing, and at the expense of everyone's lives, and they're just total tunnel vision. I love that mad scientist tunnel vision they get.
Done really well in both versions of the thing.
All the way dating back to Bride and like you just get these guys who are just like, oh, look what I have created! And she's just like, it's funny me, I don't give a shit.
And exactly, I mean that Frankenstein mythology is really in all these sort of science gone wrong films.
Whether they know it or not.
Exactly.
But it plays true to. It takes an element of all these things and Jaws, and Jaws is the most recent influence on this movie with location and like and characters.
Sure.
The DNA is all over it. It's like if this were a crime scene, like Jaws is going to jail. You know what I mean? For everything that's like all over this movie.
No doubt.
But it holds its own. It like has all its own like vibe and identity because of the damn roaches.
Yeah.
The roaches really erase anything that's too copycat,
No,
film.
I mean, this movie is lean and mean. Like it gets right into it.
It does not shy away.
And and it comes after several movies like Squirm that we have with the worms, Frogs.
Yeah.
All of these biological horror films where we have little creatures sort of, escalated, or Night of the Lepus, But I think this movie is what takes that idea, puts it through the kind of 80s splatter, the height of 80s splatter that was going on during 87, 88, 86, and just turns that volume all the way up and just lets it go. And man, if you want to watch a movie that you're not going to be bored, that certain people in your household might jump around the couch. I mean, this is the movie,
Yeah, everybody at least knows somebody who is bothered by roaches.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
So yeah, if you aren't yourself, someone watching the film with you will have the time of their life.
If you like roaches, I don't want to know you.
My favorite thing about roaches is that they are unique and special.
The fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, but...
Now let me ask this: is there any good like BTS or documentary on the making of this film? Because
the commentary is pretty good. I haven't seen all of it.
Yeah.
So I believe Screen Factory put out a great Blu-ray of this film.
Okay.
And it's got some great special features, but the commentary, I think is the best thing on there.
I think it's the only thing on there.
It might be, yeah.
Is it just with the director?
Yeah.
Or is it,
Yeah, with Winkless, yeah.
But he seems like a down to earth guy who like has like paid his dues and like is fun, having a good time talking about his first movie.
Yeah,
and,
he's very well spoken, very open about mistakes, and yeah, I mean, very likable sounding guy. But yeah, I think the way to learn more about this film is basically just first get that disc, because I think it looks better on that disc than what I've seen on streaming. But also, I think that commentary is the ultimate way to learn things about the nest that is probably never going to get a book on the making of. I'll think about it, but like, but basically, it's
summer project.
Yeah, right.
There you
go. But that might be it. But hey, it's a great commentary, and you'll learn a lot. But
and for for that movie and the time and how long ago it was, it looks good for how disgusting it is.
Well shot. And
it does. Yeah. Again, going back to that effects. We've talked about this before. The effects is amazing, just jaw-dropping, but of course it has that 80s rubbery and slimy, but a little bit of that fake movement to it.
Yeah, the animatronicness to the cat, but the rigidness like kind of adds to its creepiness.
Exactly.
Too.
Yeah.
Kind of has like a Chuck E. Cheese scary.
Exactly. It adds that element of those strange movements. You know,
there's something about being like lo-fi that can creep you out more.
Yeah,
than seeing everything in full definition.
Right. Or like if it was CG, it would be all fluid and scary and like just, but not. Like it would intend it to be that, but it would just just have too much phicality to it.
Right,
And it would just
right.
be wrong. I don't know.
And you have a favorite kill, actually, that we didn't bring up, but it's a great one.
Which one did I tell you?
The lady who's in bed, who's eating the waffles or whatever.
The woman in the cast. Yeah. Okay.
It
She
just
hits
plays
her
on
own
so
cast.
many
Yes,
fears.
it's like, ow!
It's
ow!
like James Caan in Misery. He's like, ah!
And there's
Yeah.
like a weird scene too leading up to that where like she's spilling like syrup all over her legs and
Yeah.
like
Oh,
rubbing. Like,
what the hell is that? She walks in there,
Look.
gives her the waffles, and she's like talking to her while she's wiping.
Let me tell you
with-
something. Tarantino directed that scene.
I wanna
Okay.
tell you,
She had spilled syrup all the way
that
up there,
actress
and
with those,
so
basically a
80s.
stereo on
Yeah.
each
She's
ear.
like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What?
80s.
Yeah.
So great,
Quintessential, like great outdoors.
Yes.
You know,
But
Sandlot.
when the roaches go into her cast, I just wanted to I wanted to salute the screen and cry,
Yeah.
and then just
Yeah.
like be like, that's it. That's the only.
Because
that's it.
that could freaking happen, you know? I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's
it's not totally absurd.
that is based in reality. You could totally be laying there with a cast eating waffles.
Yes.
And whatever crawls in your cast,
Yeah.
I mean, you're
I was
fucked.
eating waffles while I was watching the movie. You know?
My favorite
That's-
kill, I've already said it, but that From Beyond character at the end where
Oh.
it's like this giant anamorph gone wrong.
The pinchers.
The pinchers is the only thing that's roach-like, and it's the murder weapon. And like, I don't know if
the eyes are like black, which I love.
Yeah.
You can't see past.
And that's just the
Yeah.
one face.
Yeah,
Because
right,
you've got
right.
multiple faces, skulls, hands.
Yeah.
I
I
would
went for it.
love to
like
see concept art
Hellraiser,
for this
yeah.
thing.
Now,
Yeah.
the reason why I love that too, because luckily I didn't look up anything about this movie before I saw it. This is my first time seeing it, and that was such a nice payoff and surprise to getting two monsters at the end, or three monsters at the end of the whole movie. You get
Yeah.
three on top of real roaches just being everywhere
Yeah.
at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all you really want when you go to see the movie is just a roach
Yeah.
infestation.
Yeah, I thought it
movie.
was just gonna be roaches the whole
Yeah.
time.
And you get
Keeps
way much
turning
more.
It
that
keeps
dial,
turning it
you
up.
know?
Yeah.
And you know, sign of a good filmmaker. I mean, amazing first film in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I would have loved to have seen what else this guy could have done in the horror genre, but you know, he clearly had the chops. You know, I mean, I would have loved to see his Howling script, see what that would have been like. You know?
I didn't know he wrote a script for The Howling.
Yeah, he wrote a script for The Howling, and then they ended up hiring John Sayles to write a new one. But yeah, I mean, I would
Listen.
have. Yeah.
I'm way over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We're actually recording
Usually
this-
when I say Howling, you know, you're right on it.
Well, you know how I feel about The Howling. We'll get down there later.
Yeah.
He's
You'd
out-
like
he's
to see
out
some
of
other
his cycle.
scripts.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
I'd like to see some other
and
scripts.
I don't blame you. Yeah. But we
I
have.
love John Sayles, by the
Yeah,
way.
love John Sayles.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Nest kicks ass. Like, if you're an '80s horror fan and you haven't seen The Nest, man, get
You're
right
missing
on
out.
it. Get right
I think
on
another
it.
thing
It is
that,
a little hard to find. I know. Like,
Yeah, because
Yeah,
when you
it
brought
is.
it up originally, I was like, oh, I know I've seen this.
Oh wait, it's on
And
Prime though.
it is on
you can
Prime.
You have to rent it
You have
though
to
right
rent it
now.
on Prime.
You
I
know,
don't think it's
sometimes
streaming
you don't
free
have to
anymore.
rent it, and sometimes you do.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I ended up buying the disc just because I knew I was gonna.
But that
Okay.
title is so similar to so many infestation
Yeah.
bug movies that it's easy to get confused.
And there are other
you know?
nests, you know.
Oh yeah,
But,
that's
but-
true.
but this is the nest.
For some reason, I got this movie and Slugs like mixed
Well,
up.
sure,
You know,
yeah.
like it's just one of those
yeah,
things. you
again,
know?
that's part of that kind of bio horror.
Yeah.
Day of the Animals,
Yes.
like this kind of like prophecy.
Yeah.
These kind of like chemical
and like
plants.
phase, Phase 4, our last episode, I feel like it's another small insect. Just you deal with it on a regular basis, or you don't. But it's something you take for granted as insignificant.
Right.
It's not gonna ruin the world. It's not gonna take
No.
over the world. It's not gonna kill us. And so they always catch up on you. You know, they always sneak up on you, and then it's too late at that point. You know, because I know that one scene when they end up blowing their fucking place up. You know, there was just moments before that they were having to leave the location like in a heartbeat because of the infestation. Like,
Yeah.
And then the dad, you know, when he sacrificed himself, like that's the most retarded sacrifice of all time. But he
especially for a man that moves so slowly.
Well, yeah.
No.
Yes.
That was pretty dumb, but Prometheus was pretty dumb too. Yeah, there's some pretty dumb ones in that one.
But you saw that bathroom, but they all had to get out of there ASAP because they underestimated their enemy.
When you're in your house and you see a roach crawl across your kitchen floor, it's surprising. But the minute you see it, you start feeling like uneasy because you start feeling about what's going on in my house. Yeah. It's almost a feeling of a loss of control because you don't know.
That's how I feel about fleas. On dogs, because the rule of thumb is if you see a flea on your dog, it's too late. They're infested. Yep. There's like thousands somewhere like in your yard, or it's too late if you see them on your animal. Anyway, so that's how I got that in my head, and so now, and I was also raised with roaches everywhere, so it doesn't fucking matter. So fleas to me are the ones where I'm just like, fuck, we're infested because I see one. Whereas if I see a roach now, I'm like, oh, one got in the house.
Right.
I don't think like, oh, they're in the walls.
Right.
We're fucked.
I fucking do.
Yeah.
I do. Because I used to have an aunt that lived in Houston, and we'd flick an apartment, and you flick on that's when the roaches are up to something, and then they scatter and disappear.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm about to turn off this light again and go to bed, and those roaches are going to come back out and do whatever it is they were doing.
You know what's even more terrifying is when you turn on the light and they don't scatter.
They just look at you.
There you go.
And that's...
No, the most terrifying is when they're on the wall and they fly at your fucking face.
In Texas, we get it. Yeah. In Texas, I have had to dodge some roaches before.
In Texas, we have water bugs. In Texas, we have a roach about that big.
Yeah.
And when you see one in your house, someone will be like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just a water bug."
Where did that name come from?
I got a really good, very quick roach story that I'm gonna share with everyone here. Okay, so. One time I was like in a field with a bunch of friends, and it's nighttime. There's no light anywhere. Okay, we're in high school. There's a couple girls, a couple dudes just hanging out. We got a blanket laid out. We're all smoking a joint, having a good time, watching the moon. All of a sudden, someone says something like, "Oh, like did you hear that? Oh." And someone gets their flashlight, and they turn it on, and there's roaches everywhere, all over the blanket. All over our shit. One's on my shoe. I immediately get up. I kick it off. It hits a girl in the face. Ah! Like she's freaking out. I literally just hightailed it out of there. I was like, see ya, bye. I didn't even check on anybody. They're probably dead now.
Yeah.
You lived a scene from this film.
Yes! I am the nest.
In my opinion, only roaches can accomplish this. Fleas are bad, ticks are bad.
Yeah.
Something about a fucking roach.
Yeah, because I always tell you I'm terrified of like big spiders, but let me tell you something. I'll go up against one big spider compared to like 1,000 fucking roaches.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
My wife was watching this with me, and she was like, I can smell this movie. I know.
Oh,
She's like, I know.
yeah.
She's like, I know what roaches smell like, and they smell horrible.
They do have a scent.
And I'm like, I never knew what they smell like because my dad was already spraying Raid all over the house, so I was breathing
Smell
Raid.
yeah.
So they smell like Raid to me. Is what they smell like.
I mean, you're talking about a creature that can survive like a nuclear blast. So it's like they already are disgusting. And then when you,
Raid did nothing. Raid was just like fuel.
Right.
Yeah, thinking they're gonna adapt to it eventually.
Right.
And become stronger.
Yeah, like Phase 4.
And that was the idea of the movie, of the experiments going on, is that they were going to develop a roach that would kill eat other roaches, and then those roaches would die off. Well, that didn't fucking happen, You know
what I like to see? I like to see those fucking smart-ass ants go up against these disgusting animal roaches.
Yeah, because those Phase 4 ants...
Dude, those ants are pretty smart.
Yeah, they were like, we gotta kill all the spiders. Yeah. They were like, in order to fucking have a chance at becoming the intelligent species, we gotta kill all our predators first.
And
it's just
ant,
like,
though.
they figured it out.
I'm Team Ant.
I'm always Team Ant. Hashtag Team Ant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be Team Roach then.
Ooh! And then, like, as soon as we cut, Travis unzips his human suit and just...
Oh, yeah. I take off my shirt like the dude in the movie, and you see my fly, like the fly, but like...
Yeah. And the movie is actually crazier than that, so...
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
No, honestly,
Check
like
it out.
It is making me gag thinking about it.
To wrap it up, I will say this movie is so worth it. Like if you have to rent it, it's a couple bucks on Amazon. Do it. You will not regret it.
It's a great blind buy if you like blind buy discs too. That's a solid blind buy.
So good.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen The Nest, I would say that The Nest is at the level of the roach segment in Creepshow.
Oh,
I really would.
Sure.
Which a lot of people, when they think roaches,
That's
and
like-
rightfully
that's the
so,
iconic-
they should think of that. But no, this will give you the same enjoyment
Absolutely.
that segment gives
Well, just
you.
basically think about that short, but feature length.
Yes.
That's what you have to think
All
about.
you can handle.
All you can handle. All the roaches you can eat.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Great job,
Gross.
Winkless.
Yeah. Way to go, Winkless.